Joining me right now is Pennsylvania Congressman and member of the House Foreign Affairs, Transportation, and Infrastructure Committee, Scott Perry. Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. What are the odds that lawmakers get a deal done?
It's going to be tough, Maria. This is not necessarily the road to nowhere. This is the road to ruin, and it's time for President Biden to drop the progressives off by the side of the road and turn the car around. I mean, most of this, we tried to move their bill in the House, and of course they did move it. Half of it, literally half of it, was the Green New Deal. And of course, it's not really the Green New Deal. Might as well be called the Red New Deal because it supports everything that China builds, from battery technology to charging station infrastructure. And it's going to have our employers in a sea of red ink and pink slips. So I think, Shelley Moore Capito, Senator Capito's first offer was at historically high spending. And as you already stated, that doesn't even come close to what they want. So we're going to be printing this money, we're going to be taxing this money, and we're going to be spending it on things like child care and other assisted care, which is all important stuff, but it's not infrastructure. They want to put it in the infrastructure package because they know the American people have always supported infrastructure. And so, once again, acting like they're being bipartisan is not really being bipartisan. You have to be bipartisan. And what they're trying to do, what the president's trying to do, what they did in our committee in the House, is force this thing down our throats. It's my way or the highway. They took the vote, and essentially it passed on partisan lines. So the narrative is one thing, but the reality is another.
Well, Congressman, what is the point of all of this? I mean, look, President Biden had his $1.9 trillion COVID relief package passed in March. We're seeing an economy that is growing without any more spending, without adding more trillions of dollars to our $28 trillion in debt. Why come up with these packages? Just to fundamentally transform our economy, or because it's a new president that wants to prove that the old president was wrong about everything? What's the point? Who are we helping with all of this spending in an environment where things are going fine on their own, with the economy reopening and growth expected this year?
Well, you already said it, Maria. It's to fundamentally transform the United States of America. This is the third term of President Barack Obama, and he meant it. And this is where they do it. So, again, infrastructure has widespread appeal because most people think that it means roads and bridges, broadband, cable, water, sewer, airports and ports, those type of things. Again, half of this bill is essentially supporting Green New Deal and more socialist policies. That's really the goal of this. And, of course, it's spending at an unprecedented, unbelievable, unsustainable level. And it means more printing of money, which means higher inflation, and it means more taxes, which means driving people out of the employment market. But they don't care about that. This is a socialist agenda. You already pointed it out, Maria. You're always very prescient. You've got it targeted in your sights immediately right up front.
Well, look, Congressman, I mean, you want to better understand what the priorities of this administration are. Look no further than Joe Biden's budget that he dropped on the Friday before a long holiday Memorial Day weekend. And in that budget, we see an increase of 22% for the EPA and no increases for defense spending. It was actually up 1.6%, which is actually negative when compared to inflation, because we're running at a 4.5% inflation rate. No increases for Homeland Security. So while he's talking and doing all these meetings with lawmakers every week, trying to come up with more spending, there's absolutely no concern, no attention being paid to the border and our Homeland Security. Border Patrol agents seized more than $1.8 million worth of drugs at the southern border just this weekend. Okay, over the weekend, they arrested 178 migrants apprehending our border. Congressman, these are national security issues. Americans are worried about these policies, wide open borders, defund the police, no cash bail, that has led to massive spikes in crime. And yet we're here debating whether or not we should add money for electric vehicles.
Yeah, it's you got to laugh at it because it's so insane. You'll drive yourself crazy if you really just sit and think about it. You're absolutely right. These are the things that we should be focused on. And of course, the vice president hasn't gone to the border. She's not going to the border. I've gone to the border, and I've seen 2/3 of the people that are coming illegally to the United States don't have any geographical connection to the United States of America. What I mean by that is they're not coming from South America, Central America, or Mexico. They're flying to South America, Central America, and Mexico, and then walking across the border illegally. Fentanyl seizures up 300%. These huge spikes in illegal traffic coming across the border. And of course, the administration doesn't like the optics. So what they're going to do is increase the efficiency at which they bring these illegal foreign nationals, these illegal immigrants, if you will, into the interior of the country. That's what they're going to do so they don't have the bad look. And of course, American citizens are right to be concerned with it. It's going to increase our taxes and lower the ability of their children to get their first-time job as unskilled labor pours into this country. And then, of course, the national security concerns as we see lawlessness in our cities. We're watching literally, we're watching homicides occur in real time on our televisions. And meanwhile, you got the mayor of Chicago acting like nothing's changed and there's nothing can be done about it except defund the police and increase social services. That doesn't stop criminals from killing people. Nobody wants to go to our cities anymore because they fear for their safety, and rightly so.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely. And Congressman, we can't mention the border without mentioning COVID. The story today, one of the lead stories on the Wall Street Journal, South America is now the COVID-19 hotspot, 8 times the world's death rate. While COVID is receding in much of the world, the pandemic is raging in South America. This is the first graph of the story in the Journal, which has just 5% of the world's population, but now accounts for a quarter of the global death toll. So here we have these wide open borders for South America, and South America, almost 1 million people have died across 12 countries in the region. Among this devastating surge, Brazil surpassed 500,000 just this past weekend. The virus killed 7 times as many people per capita every day, Congressman. No comments about South America being the COVID hotspot, and we've got wide open borders to South America?
Absolutely tragic and stunning, Maria. When I was at the border, the one country that did have a geographical connection to the United States where migrants were illegally crossing was Brazil. And of course, no COVID testing. They're overwhelmed at the border. So they put them in facilities, likely many of them COVID positive. And then they ship them to the interior of the country where in your schools, your kids have to wear a mask, social distance, if they're in school at all. Right. So we're living under these draconian socialist. It absolutely is insane. And people say, why would they do it? Why would the Democrats do it? It's because they want to transform the United States of America into a socialist country. And of course, you have to devolve and dismantle the system we have here before you can do it.
Congressman, real quick before you go, because you're on the infrastructure committee, do you think we'll get a hard infrastructure deal done? And will that lead Joe Biden to try to push the tax increases through reconciliation later this year, separately?
There's we're going to have to pay for this. So it's either going to come through tax increases or it's going to come through printing and inflation. That's how that's going to be. When you say hard infrastructure, I don't believe it. The bill that we pushed out was 6 to 10% hard infrastructure. That's roads, bridges, ports, airlines, those kind of things. They're not interested in that, Maria. They're interested in you paying for their new electric vehicle charging infrastructure across the country. They're interested in you paying for childcare, elder care, and calling it infrastructure. So I don't think we're going to get a hard infrastructure bill, but there's a chance we're going to get an infrastructure bill.
That's unbelievable, Congressman. Everything is infrastructure. It's good to see you, sir. Thanks very much. We'll keep spotlighting all of this. Have a good day, Congressman Scott Perry. Thanks so much, sir. We'll be right back.